Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Leading Change. My name is Emma, and I have Carolyn with me, and we are going to be talking about unique and different ways that we can get people exposed to all the different career opportunities that are available within insurance and even beyond, too. But before I get to all the questions that I've got for you, can you give everybody an introduction?
Sure. So my name is Carolyn Hicks Jimenez. I am the head of business operations at Insurance Quantified. We partner with P&C underwriting teams to automate and extract the data that they need to make the right decisions at the right time. I'm also president and chair of Badass Animal Rescue.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for joining me. And I think to get this conversation started, I want to start by giving everybody a little bit of the insight that you shared with me when we were prepping for this about how you found your first role, which actually wasn't in the insurance industry, and maybe what we can learn from that experience. So if you could start by just kind of talking a little bit about that first role.
Yeah, sure. So in 2008, I was a junior in college. I was applying for internships, trying to figure out kind of what my next step was. I am a first generation college graduate, so I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. I was a finance and a business management major, and I didn't know what type of industry I wanted to go into, but I did have my best friend's father had worked at Deutsche Bank, and after so many times of him shuffling us back and forth to our friend's house and chatting with him, I made it my mission that I was going to work at Deutsche Bank. Every time I talked to him, I got to learn something new. He got to travel the world. He had stability in his life. He was genuinely a curious person. And that's what I wanted for myself. So I had asked him to put forward my resume for the internship program. And thankfully, I was accepted. I wouldn't have made that connection otherwise. They didn't recruit at my school. So I'm eternally grateful for him to pass that along. And I got accepted, and I was a part of the 2008 internship class. And I landed in the fixed income prime brokerage documentation desk, which was a mouthful. And I had no idea what I was going to do when I got there.
Tell me a little bit about what this rotational role looked like for you and what kinds of experiences you got from that maybe you wouldn't have had otherwise.
Yeah, sure. So once I made it through my internship, I was accepted into a rotational program. I started out right after college. About a month, I was in London, which was fantastic. They sent all of the grads there, and we all got to meet each other. So I got to meet my counterparts who were doing the same type of jobs that I would in different parts of the country. And they also gave us a general understanding of what the bank did, different parts of it, gave some like basic training skills around, soft skills and such like that. So it was really a great opportunity to kind of set the baseline and the foundation. When I came back, I was placed onto the foreign exchange prime brokerage desk. Again, had no idea what that meant. I was in a client service role, and it was amazing. It was such a fast-paced environment. Foreign exchange is, time is of the essence. And I really I built up that skill of, being able to adapt and being able to move very quickly and make decisions. And that's where I really learned that I really loved customer service. I really loved building relationships with clients. I loved talking to them and solving their problems. So I was there for about a year. And when it was my next time to move, the bank actually set you up with a mentor. So I had a fantastic woman who was my mentor, and she helped me find my next role, which got me exposure to the equities business. So I worked in a control role, which you could think of as like audit. And I was exposed to our Latin America desk, and I got to understand the payments process and what regulations were behind it. It was a huge operation. So I got to learn about what it was to audit another team, how to think about regulations, how processes and procedures are so important. How do you make them better and enhance them? So I did that for about a year again, and then I moved on actually back to the business that I interned with. That business during the financial crisis had shut down. They were rebuilding it. And I joined the OTC clearing and fixed income prime brokerage desk, again in a client service role, because I knew that's what I liked. And this was really an opportunity for me to learn about building a business. And that has carried all throughout my career. That's what I really, really enjoy doing. And I got to the point where I was able to kind of, teach clients how the regulations would change their workflows, how it would change their business. I got to travel all over the US and meet my clients and be a part of pitches and selling the business. I got to be a part of onboarding a new customer and what that looks like, and interacting with our technology team and building out a testing program. All of these things combined together really kept me so interested in that role, where when my rotational program ended, I stayed there. That was my final rotational role. And then I ended up actually moving into a front office role for the same business. I had gotten really good at understanding the product, what the problems were, how to explain it to customers. So I transitioned into a front office role, more of a relationship management, client solutions type of role. And that helped me kind of navigate how to deal with negotiating commercials, why it's so important to read legal agreements, negotiate pricing. What do you do when a client says no? So it was really quite an expansive experience that I got to enjoy. And I was there for 7 years. And that program, I would have never met any of the people that I had worked with. So if I wasn't in a rotational role. So I got to experience all these different aspects of the business and really kind of test and see what made sense for me. What did I like? What did I not like? Who do I love working for? Who do I want to, who are my role models? Who do I want to, work with more? And actually, both times I have moved companies, it's been because I was recruited by a woman who I had worked with at Deutsche Bank. So I'm eternally grateful for the opportunity that I had in that rotational program.
So then when we look at, especially something, because finance, banking, not far off from the complexity and kind of, I always joke, like, until you get into the insurance industry, half the time nobody knows that the role that they're finding their way into even exists. But then also, until you're in it, you don't realize how important that like one person who works in a basement cubicle is, and their role is to like keeping everything held together until you're in it and you see all of these different facets. So what can we learn and implement, whether it's at an insurtech, a broker or an agent, a carrier themselves, from this rotational model to help bring fresh new talent into the industry?
Yeah, so I think it's twofold. So, I'll take it from a personal perspective first. This type of model really builds resiliency within a person. I had to start over every couple of years, and I knew the bank culture, so I was able to adapt much quicker. And I joke, but that retained me. I was there for 7 years. And when I left, my email saying goodbye to everybody literally said, "Thanks for keeping the intern around for 7 years." It was really crucial to kind of it allowed me to be able to adapt. It allowed me to get comfortable with raising my hand for things that necessarily weren't within my scope. And it got me comfortable advocating for myself. So from a personal perspective, I think that was one of the main drivers for me to keep me retained. On the flip side, like you said, you think of, when you hear insurance, you think of an agent or a claims adjuster, but there are so many different aspects of the company that you would just never know of until you get your foot in the door. You never know that there's a digital transformation team. There is a whole operations team keeping the thing going. There's an innovation team. You just would not know. So I think in terms of investing time, money, effort, this was not a cheap thing to keep me in that program, but it was really quite the opportunity, and it'll help retain the talent. And I think too, there's also, I did it at an entry level. when I was still there, and I have no idea if they still do this, but there was another layer to this where there was a management level program. And one of my managers was in this program, and she spent a year in the States managing a team, and she got to move different parts of the business and learn how to manage a global organization. That's huge for middle level managers. And that again keeps your talent, keeps your knowledge. So it allows people to keep it fresh while they're kind of, navigating points of their career. Maybe they don't want to do the same thing their entire career. So I think it's really, quite impactful to offer this upfront from the entry level perspective, but also keep it throughout their, throughout a career.
And I think it helps people become well-rounded and know where their strengths are and recognize and appreciate people that have different strengths than they do, because you don't fully understand what someone else's life is like until you've tried to do their job and recognize it's not for you.
Exactly. And I mean, I'm in my career now in the position that I'm in. I'm still leveraging things that I did when I was at the bank because I happen to be in payments for 7 months of my career. I know about that now, and I'm able to apply that. And it just is layered on, and so impactful.
Well, thank you so much for joining me for the conversation and hopefully giving people some ideas, whether that's for an internship opportunity to give people a taste of the industry or a way to help us make well-rounded leaders for the next phase of the insurance industry. If you're not already, make sure that you go over and follow Carolyn on LinkedIn and make sure that you guys get connected and reach out to either of us if you have any questions. But thank you again for your time and have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Leading Change. If you like what you saw, be sure to come back on a weekly basis and subscribe for more expert interviews focused on digital transformation, change management, and emerging technologies.